Hi, everyone. I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much for joining me. Many of you will remember the recall for the frozen shrimp and probably wondered where it came from and how it ended up on our store shelves. Well, U.S. senators are now asking the same question. Yesterday, they launched a formal inquiry into major grocery chains, demanding transparency on supply chain practices and food safety protocols. The probe stems from a recent FDA advisory warning consumers to discard certain frozen shrimp imported from Indonesia due to the potential contamination with cesium-137, a radioactive isotope. While no confirmed cases of contaminated shrimp reaching U.S. store shelves has been reported, but yet they told you to throw it all away if you got some. They say the incident has amplified ongoing, long-lasting concerns about inadequate oversights of imported seafood. The affected shrimp originated from an Indonesian processor. A shipping container tested positive for elevated levels of cesium-137, prompting the FDA's cautionary recall. The isotope is a byproduct of nuclear fission and can pose health risks if ingested in significant amounts, including increased cancer risk. The advisory targets specific lots of frozen shrimp distributed to retailers like Kroger's. Additionally, packages from the same supplier have been flagged, with consumers urged to check labels and discard any mismatching products. The U.S. imports over 90% of its shrimp, much of it from Southeast Asia. The U.S. does import over 90% of its shrimp, much of it from Southeast Asia. A government accountability report highlights systematic issues. Since 2016, the FDA has inspected fewer than 5% of the 19,200 foreign food facilities, and these food facilities are required to be evaluated every year, but yet they only inspect 5% of them. The inquiry targets major retailers including Walmart, Kroger, and others. Senators are seeking detailed response on sourcing, testing, and rejected products for imported goods, particularly why shrimp deemed unsafe by the European Union, which has stricter radiation limits, was routed to the U.S. Europe has a lot of restrictions on different foods that the U.S. allows. Do you realize your coffee is often not allowed there in the UK because of different types of contaminants, but yet they allow it here in the U.S.? As of today, September 7th, only Walmart has publicly replied to this inquest, stating it sources shrimp from diverse regions, including the U.S. Gulf Coast, and prioritizes customer safety. Other chains, including Kroger, have not yet commented. Food safety experts like Barbara Kalasik, director of the Institute for Food Safety and Health, emphasizes this isn't isolated to shrimp or imports. Any food item in the grocery store could be contaminated. So what you have to do is make a decision based on risk. Oh, that is so. What do we have the FDA for if they're not inspecting businesses that, give us our food? They claim that recent reports underscores the urgency. While food recalls haven't surged, I don't believe that. Hospitalizations and deaths from contaminated products doubled last year, 2024, banning items from produce to processed meats. Experts recommend focusing on transparency, checking product origins and certifications over blanket avoidance of imports. Yeah, domestic sourcing isn't inherently safer. I just reported about the beef jerky that was processed here in South Dakota that had metal that had embedded into the meat, from the conveyor belt. So if you think that if you're opting for labels that clearly show the origin is going to make it safe, well, it's not. Putting products making money over the safety of U.S. citizens. Can you believe that? Only 5% of the factories there in Asia have even been inspected, and they're supposed to be inspected annually every year. Here in the United States, the factories that produce ready-to-eat meals, seafood, or produce, um, they are only inspected once every 3 years. Factories that produce baked goods, your bread, your cookies, cakes, things like that, they're only inspected once every 5 years. Factories that produce infant formula are only inspected once a year. I wonder if that's really true. Between 2018 and 2023, the FDA averaged about 8,353 domestic inspections of these different factories, which is roughly only 1 to 2% of the 50,000 registered facilities annually. Since the COVID pandemic, inspection numbers dropped further, with many facilities not inspected within the required timeframe. At current rates, the FDA won't catch up to the 3 to 5 year cycle for years. The FDA claims they have workforce shortages. I mean, really, how long does it take to walk through a factory and see if it's clean or not? They can take a swab of the equipment and surfaces, put it into a tube, and get instant results. They can look and see if there's rat feces laying around or other very easily visible safety concerns. The FDA has 432 investigators, on average 8,353 domestic and 917 foreign inspectors or inspections they do annually. Not all the 432 inspectors are exclusively for food. They cover other areas like drugs and devices, but food safety is the major priority. Historical data shows food safety activities consume about 23.5% of the FDA's overall budget. After COVID, inspection rates dropped. Only about 7% of the high risk facilities are inspected or were inspected as of 2020, creating a growing backlog of past due facilities that need to be inspected and haven't. The national average of pay for these FDA inspectors is anywhere between 95,000 and 102,000. Now, if you're a newbie, entry level for the newbies would be between $50,000 and $75,000. Now, that's annually. The FDA averages only 8,353 domestic inspections per year. Now, of the 8,353 domestic inspections, that roughly covers only 1 to 2% of the estimated 50,000 registered facilities annually. So they got plenty of people to inspect these facilities every year. So that would be about 117 facilities each of those inspectors would have to do in a year. So the 432 inspectors would have to do at least 117 inspections per year. There's 365 days to a year, so that would give them ample time to do a thorough inspection of their share of the 50,000 facilities that need to be, checked out. Ample time to get to know the people, ample time to do a thorough inspection. So why isn't it happening? Just something to think about. Yeah, so if they say they got a work shortage, they don't have a work shortage. They have a work ethic shortage. Yeah, and people that are dying has doubled since last year. So what are your thoughts? Put your comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, I'll keep you up to date with all this breaking news, important news that's for our safety and our well-being of ourselves and our family and our children and grandchildren. Please stay safe, and I'll talk to you later. God bless y'all. Bye.